Hey, everybody, it's your friend Stefan. Welcome back to another episode of Audience Builders, Attorneys in Focus. I am very excited to have Kaitlin Files join me today from Bucks County, otherwise the greater Philadelphia area of Pennsylvania. Kaitlin is a workers' comp attorney, workers' comp litigation attorney. Welcome, Kaitlin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
It it is my pleasure. And shout out to your Instagram, by the way, which is where we met. I really like how much of you is there, right? Like that you're training for a marathon and like all the things that are going on, like your workout journey. And I think that personally is an important aspect. I think people want to work with people, and sometimes attorneys out there watching this, when your Instagram is just law, then we're losing a little bit of a connection with you, the person. So, all right, let's get into it. Kaitlin, when did you decide in your law career, like how long were you practicing before you're like, I got to get in front of the camera and the mic?
So I opened my own private practice in June of 2020, and I knew pretty much starting out I had to get on the camera and in front of the mic and social media from
Okay. And how did you start?
Instagram. Everything I did, I was on a very limited budget. I didn't put any money whatsoever into any social media marketing. I just was boots to the ground. And I'm familiar with Instagram. Just personally, I have an Instagram account. So I felt most comfortable on Instagram. And that's not even, it wasn't even being comfortable. I mean, getting on there and talking to a camera when you're first doing it is very uncomfortable. But yes, I started with Instagram, which kind of connected to Facebook, and just launched into the world of TikTok. So we're
Oh my
getting
goodness.
building
All
up.
right. Now, when you started, talk to me a little bit about the content and audience. So you knew you needed to get in front of the camera. You knew you needed to create content. My first question would be, did you know you needed to do that because you were going to be using it to attract clients, or you knew you needed to do it because when clients are referred to you or they come in contact with your brand, you want them to be able to have kind of a sample of who you are, how you work, and so forth?
Yeah. So honestly, I didn't think I would get a client from Instagram, but I knew the firm needed to create a brand in the community. So when I started and continued, and still to this date, most of my connections I make through Instagram are actually business owners. So it's a lot of business owners in the community, which has helped build the brand up. And then people are starting to see us and get referred to us because of the connections I'm making in the community. So I really started, and we used to do this thing in the beginning called Bucks County Local. And we'd actually go to local businesses who had active Instagrams, check out their stuff, do a highlight reel of it, and then repost it. And then we'd get reposted. So then that's how we were kind of spreading our awareness like, hey, we're a firm here in Bucks County.
I love that tip. Can you so break down a little bit? You would identify some Instagram accounts that were active business owners, meaning your target audience in Bucks County. And
Yes.
what did you do to give them the love?
So what we would do, the whole series was called Lower Bucks Local. And what we
Okay.
would do is actually we would try to look on each month. And there's holidays and national days. National Margarita Day just happened. So we
Yeah.
would try to find local small business owners who have those social media accounts. We would
Yeah.
go in and support their business by buying their product, getting their service, do whatever they were doing. We would
So great.
highlight it by videotaping me doing it, trying it, eating the food, videotape
Love
their space, maybe talk to the business owner, and then I would post something about it later to promote it, and then they would repost it. And then I got to
that
meet the
is
business owners. It was great.
It's so brilliant. I love that. I love that. So if you're listening, please write that down and figure out how to do that. Were you really stressed out though? Like, because you said, initially getting in front of the camera, there was a little bit of discomfort with that. So let alone going to a business where now you're kind of acting like a YouTuber, right? It's one thing I sit in my office here and talk to the camera like it's a client or whatever it is, but I'm not like filming myself at a store buying something or interacting with people and stuff like that. How did you get over yourself to do that?
It's hard because naturally I'm not really from that generation where we're out there taking videos and just filming ourselves all the time. So in the beginning, it takes it takes a lot of talking up. Like just do it. Who cares who's looking at you? Because what matters more is the connections you're making and the community you're building. So just don't think about it and just go do it.
I like to call these activities relationship acquisition strategies. And I think that is a brilliant one because not only is Kaitlin giving actual love to the business, meaning it wasn't about reposting. And I want to make this distinction to people that are watching, because even though this is a digital product and even though Kaitlin and I are in a virtual studio, there is nothing more powerful, especially when you are a business that is a local business. To go out and to meet business owners in person, the relationship building, the strength of that, the emotion of that is just so many factors above digital. So kudos to you and anybody watching this. That is a big idea to go out there, support, film it, and then share and tag so that they know that it's out there. And now they're going to drag you into their audience, which I call you down with OPA, which is you down with other people's audience. And, you know me. Okay, so Kaitlin, next thing is, so brilliant in terms of strategy to go meet business owners. But let me ask you this, workman's comp litigation, aren't you typically suing an insurance company or a business owner?
We are, the business owner's name is on the lawsuit, but it's the insurance company. We are going against the insurance company.
So when you make a relationship with a business owner, this is a really interesting dynamic because you sue business owners on behalf of workers who are not getting their fair shake. So when you meet a business owner, I got to think that they're not likely to be the one to refer you for their own business. So walk me through how a business owner might recommend, like literally because they have a friend or a colleague who needs your services that happens to work at another company, and that's how they make that connection?
Basically, I mean, when I go and meet with people, I don't lead with business talk first. I talk personal. So most of the people I'm meeting out in the business world, these employers, I know way more about their families and what they're doing on the weekends than anything about their business. But I always give them advice sometimes of, hey, by the way, for workers' comp, make sure you're doing this, this, and this. Otherwise, like, you're going to be hearing from someone like me. So I actually try to help people and tell them the best things to do. And then they realize, this isn't just an attorney who's out here to sue. Like, I want the best things for my friends and their businesses as well. So the referrals typically come in from the fellow business owners from areas outside of workers' comp. So, I know this lawyer, they'll call me, and if it's criminal defense or something, I'll kick them out somewhere in my network. But I've established great enough relationships with the fellow business owners that they trust my network of attorneys are going to be ones that they want their family and friends to be talking to.
Okay. So to recap, guys, this is a relationship acquisition strategy using content to facilitate those relationships, which then monetized are either direct or indirect, meaning referral comes in, goes out to a criminal defense attorney, but that criminal defense attorney is going to remember that and refer business back when it's workers' comp to Kaitlin. So understood all of that. Let's talk now about direct to audience, meaning your actual user base audience, the people that would hire you to go after a company that's not doing what they should be for their workers' comp. Do you focus on one type of worker? So walk me through trying to speak to them, not trying to speak to business owners, but speaking to people who would be employing you.
So my content on social media is all towards injured workers. We really don't speak to the employers at all. And we don't target one type of injured workers because there are so many different ways you can get injured at work. Now, there are predominantly more construction workers, nurses, things of that nature. So we do highlight that type of injury or that type of work when we're doing our content. But in general, we try to give a blanket understanding of the work comp system in a lot of our content because it's very complicated and it's ripe for mistakes to be making. So we try to step in and help people before they make mistakes.
So how do you figure out what content you're going to create for that audience? So educational, it's tips. It's like, don't forget this. And if this happens, make sure you do this. But how do you figure out what that is on a weekly basis or whatever your kind of schedule for content creation is?
Sure. So I actually just go from life experience. I will take notes at either while I'm litigating a case, while I'm talking to a new lead, when a friend or family calls with a question, things I'm seeing in the news. So I'll just write down things and I will remember, oh my gosh, this question got asked to me 6 times this week. So we're dropping a reel on this. Medical marijuana, big topic in Pennsylvania, big topic in work comp right now. We dropped a reel on that and it went wild. So it's just hot topics either in the news or that you're picking out that you see on repeat with your clients.
Let's talk about that going wild for a second. When you see something like that happen, so you picked a particularly interesting topic, one where there's a vacuum of information, it went viral for that reason. Do you then does that inform you to create more content for that specifically to say, well, viral means more reach, and you're doing this so that more people are familiar with Kaitlin and with your law firm. So does it inform you to say, we better create an entire series on medical marijuana?
Yes. So I created a second video on it again, which had way more hits than my usual stuff. But in general, now I'm like, people kind of want some more general law and how it comes in because workers' comp is kind of boring. So people are just, I don't care about this. So I did realize that
until they're hurt, because I'd argue mortgages are boring, real estate is
so
boring,
you need
buying a
them.
car is boring, your dentist is boring, insurance is
Right.
boring. In fact, just about everything out there is boring until you need that thing, which is
Exactly.
why you want your content out there consistently. Folks, it is never about like, okay, I'm going to put this video out there and I hope somebody who's hurt right now sees this and calls me. Like, that's just not what's going to happen. But
Never.
over time, those people who become familiar with Kaitlin, who dig her content, dig her vibe, like, yeah, I like this stuff. When the box falls on their head, that's when they're going to go, oh, I got to call Kaitlin. And that's kind of the point of being out there and consistent. Okay. So do you use AI or any tools like that either to help you come up with content ideas, to better title your content, or otherwise script?
I'll use Chat GPT at times. But I pretty much do a lot of it on my own. I'm pretty decently creative with stuff. But yeah,
Yep.
Chat GPT helps me out if I'm just tired, honestly. I'm
Yep.
just like, please come up with this for me. Especially on TikTok. It's a very foreign platform to me. So I'll say, this is for TikTok. Please come up with something I should write here. But in terms of captions and things like that, I'll use Chat GPT. The actual content I'm talking about, it's all me. Nothing is scripted. I don't use any tool.
Love it. Okay, so how are you measuring success?
I think it's really hard to measure how successful an Instagram reel is or how successful some social media content is because, like you said, it's so many touches to a person and you're not going to see the end result really until maybe years or months down the road. I have an example of this. I had someone call me this weekend, injured worker, and he said, I met you 2 years ago at an event where you had a booth. And I remember seeing your Instagram reel where you talked about this. And then I saw your billboard the other day and was like, oh, I got to give her a call. So there were 3 different things there. And eventually, but it took 2 years. So it's a long time coming.
Well, because he nothing fell on him before, or he didn't trip on the
Right.
like it wasn't a
Right.
matter that your content took 2 years. What took 2 years was this individual to get injured. Not that
Correct.
we want people to get injured, but so but
But I'm
again,
top of
yes,
mind
like
when they do.
100%. And
That's
that
it.
is why. So for people out there that are like, oh man, I don't want to do it. I understand the fatigue, or even the perception of the fatigue, based on the fact that you do have to be consistent. But that is why I recommend for my clients. I mean, Kaitlin's figured it out. She's got a cadence. She creates content like this, comfortable with it. Now comes up with an idea. We got to do a reel on this, and bangs it out. Some people are so time limited that what I do with my clients is we do an interview format because you can get so much more content. We do 1 hour a month. And then we create out of that 1 hour a month enough content for the month
Which
to
you
be every
can.
week.
People don't
Yeah,
realize you can do
100%. I
that.
mean, whether you're
Yeah.
doing it daily or whether you're doing it 1 day a month, the key is that the content needs to be consistent so that somebody that saw you 2 years ago still remembers who you are. Kaitlin, any advice for fellow attorneys out there watching this content and thinking, I got to get in this myself, or I've got to up my game? What would you tell them?
Just get on and do it. The hardest step, and I really think it is for attorneys because we're taught to be so professional, to hold ourselves a certain way in court. And that's all great. You should be doing that. but there's also a relatability that you need to convey, especially when you're representing people, not insurance companies. When you represent people, they want to see you. So even if, and you've seen me, if I'm on a run, I'm jumping on Instagram. So
I
it
love it.
doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be extremely professional. It just has to be you, and you have to get it done and out there.
That's it. It just has to be you, and you got to get it done. Well, that is all the inspiration I need to wrap this up. Kaitlin, thank you so much for joining me on Audience Builders, Attorneys in Focus. Keep up the great work. And yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me.
My pleasure.